Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is Friday, June 7th, 2024. I am Lance Brock. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Friday this morning. And I also hope that all the rude people that always drive by while I'm trying to record will just keep quiet and not interrupt the podcast. Like I always say, you would think while someone's walking to work trying to record a podcast that you wouldn't drive by and making all that noise. It's just plain rude. But it is Friday, so that means we are talking about WWE Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Rampage. I made a pretty big mistake this week, actually. I thought this week was TNA Against All Odds on Impact Plus. But it is actually 1 week from tonight, June 14th. But this is still a pretty big week for pro wrestling, and I will get to that in just a little bit. But let's start off with this week's episode of WWE Friday Night SmackDown. And SmackDown will be live tonight from Louisville, Kentucky at the KFC Yum Center. On tonight's SmackDown, Solo Sikoa anoints Tonga Loa as an official member of the Bloodline. Jade Cargill, one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, will be in singles action, taking on Indy Hartwell. Grayson Waller, one half of the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions, will take on one half of the tag team known as DIY, Johnny Gargano. Apollo Crews will be in action, taking on Angel Garza. And that is what is being advertised for tonight's WWE Friday Night SmackDown as of right now, 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. And now at this time, we go on over to TNT for AEW Rampage, back on its regular night network and time. It almost kind of feels like it's been forever since an episode of Rampage has aired Friday night at 10 p.m. with all the craziness of the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, had the special nights, had the special start times. But so that's why it kind of feels a little funny it actually being on Friday night 10 p.m. And let's get started. Rampage. We have one half of the Lucha Brothers, Penta El Zero Miedo, taking on the Butcher. Serena Deeb taking on Mina Shirakawa. The Gates of Agony are in tag team action, taking on Private Party. And no, I don't think they will be changing their name to Public Party anytime soon. If for some reason you missed Dynamite last Wednesday night, you know that referenced Chris Jericho making that joke with Private Party in the back. And we had the Acclaimed with Daddy Ass in trios action, taking on the Bang Bang Gang. And that is our lineup as of right now for AEW Rampage tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern on TNT. And I do hope to have a new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic available sometime tonight to talk about both SmackDown and Rampage. Once again, I know I've been talking about it all week, but I unfortunately made a mistake. And I do admit when I make a mistake, I thought this week was the TNA Against All Odds TNA Plus special, but it is actually next Friday, June 14th. But speaking of Against All Odds, dropping out today is a new episode of 360 Fanatic Unleashed, episode 9, and I will be looking back at TNA Against All Odds 2005, which was actually the first ever Against All Odds pay-per-view, the main event being for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the King of the Mountain, Jeff Jarrett, defending against Kevin Nash, and a very famous match in TNA history for the TNA X Division Championship, a 30-minute Iron Man match, the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels versus the phenomenal AJ Styles, and more also on this pay-per-view. Once again, that episode of Fanatic Unleashed comes out today at 1 p.m. Eastern, so just a little over 4 hours from now, right here on Spreaker or wherever else you listen to 360 Wrestling Podcast. Make sure you tune in. Also now available as of yesterday, the new episode of 360 Anything Goes, a podcast about podcasts. I know that might sound silly, but it's just an episode where I talk about different podcasts I like, ones I listen to. I even talk a little bit about how I started 360 Wrestling Podcasts, how I got into podcasting back in 2012. That is all for this Friday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Remember, you can go to the comment section right now and leave your thoughts and your opinions on last night's episodes of TNA Impact and Ring of Honor on Honor Club, right here on Spreaker, YouTube, or anywhere you listen to 360 Wrestling Podcast. Or if you just want to talk about anything going on in the world of pro wrestling right now, you can. Also, like I mentioned earlier, even though Against All Odds is not this Friday night tonight, we still do have a pretty big pro wrestling weekend tonight. WWE SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Tomorrow night, AEW Saturday Collision. Sunday morning, I don't remember as of right now what time it starts, but New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion on NJPW World. And I do believe that I am correct about the date of Dominion. I'm pretty sure it is this weekend. And this Sunday night, wrapping it all up, is the NXT Battleground Premium Live event on Peacock and the WWE Network. which of course was promoted heavily on this week's episode of TNA Impact with TNA Knockouts champion Jordynne Grace taking on NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. So that's it for today's episode. Hope everyone has been having a great Friday morning so far. Hope you all enjoy SmackDown and Rampage tonight. We'll be back tomorrow morning for the Saturday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Until then, have a great pro wrestling day.